And it had to do with we were able to get nutrition on a regular basis instead of being foragers.
As far as the issue of tampering with genetics, and not only in foods, but also in humans, we're actually seeing something very interesting now. The idea of actually creating DNA vaccines. Scientists are already coming up with the plan to use things like Zika as a basis for putting human DNA into a vaccine and then injecting people with that DNA. So the DNA would essentially give orders and instructions to your body to combat the Zika virus. But the problem is it creates all types of consequences that have not really been discussed or debated properly, which is to say, if the DNA is absorbed into your system, how will it alter your entire DNA structure? How will it pass on to your future generations? So these are the really interesting questions that are being raised now, because we've become more and more familiar with the nature of the genomic structure of humans and the possibility of tailoring future generations to the will of science. But we don't necessarily understand all the consequence of what that will entail, because it doesn't just end with you, it ends with your children and their children and their children's children.
Perhaps these issues bring up another concept, which is, if our DNA is being altered by the food we eat, and this can be traced back to an ancient agricultural revolution that created elite versus the worker, could this mean that our societal structure is based on enslavement to cultivation? Is it possible our ancient ancestors became a different kind of human once we agreed to be part of this system? Could this explain the ancient struggle for power over the masses by Sumerian gods such as Enki and Enlil? And where might we find more evidence of these alternative forces all over the globe?
I think in the past, female cultures have been given a bad press. We know about kingship, we know about great battles fought by men, and we know that whole civilizations seem to be focused around patriarchal societies. But clearly that was not the case in prehistoric times. It would seem as if the female had a much stronger role in society.
Up next, the mysterious disappearing woman within civilizations. Is this the link to a much older culture that resided here on Earth?